Senator Whitehouse for questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zatka, I just wanted to follow up a little bit on the repeated suggestions that you've made in your testimony that the cybersecurity vulnerabilities will expose the United States to risk and to attacks, and that Twitter's security failures threaten the country's national security. Good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I get hidden ad buyers. We saw the same thing with Facebook when they were taking ads with the payments denominated in rubles and not bothering to figure out that there might have been Russians behind those ads. And you've mentioned concerns about hidden Chinese ad buyers. But if we could talk a little bit more about the national security risk associated with, for instance, the unregistered Saudi foreign agent who worked at Twitter, or the pressure to hire Indian government agents. Walk us through a scenario of how an individual planted in Twitter like that could create a national security risk for the United States. And if you would, make particular reference to the fact that, at least when I use Twitter, I'm sending stuff out. It's intended to be public. So how, in that environment, can a foreign agent create national security risk of any significant nature?
Yes, sir. There are several aspects to that. There's the non-public information that we've spoken about earlier today, your location, your phone number, your email address, things that aren't advertised to the world. In fact, I believe 200 million, if we want to say regular users, not necessarily from a national security standpoint. Twitter in 2020 internally assessed that they lost information on 200 million users for email addresses, phone numbers, other information like that. This is the information that you need in order to start taking over other people's accounts. With your phone number and an email address, I can hijack your phone number. I can then change your Gmail, your Coinbase, your Ameritrade, your other accounts. I can cause financial harm that way. I can then assume your identity. But more importantly, I probably want to be able to understand your whereabouts, your network, and understand, well, I'll give you an example in foreign governments, a concern, and then we can apply that to the United States. There were requests for information about members in the farmers' protest. There might be organizations or groups in the United States where, once I know your home address and your home phone number, I can approach you in real life. I can put pressure on you. I could possibly recruit you. You could be a witting or unwitting accomplice. And then I could influence you or target you for influence operations in the real world.
Let me just offer the thought that my home address and phone number and email address are pretty widely known, and indeed in the public domain. So how does Twitter access to that information? Is there more, or what's the difference between being able to look me up in the phone book and having Twitter access to that information? Having
been in the public sector myself, yes, a lot of my information became known. There's also a lot of people who are in particular roles where that information is not known. And the targeting of them, perhaps staffers, perhaps aides, perhaps people around you influencing to build that network, which we have seen within, not Twitter, but which the U.S. and the intelligence communities have seen as part of the great game in the intelligence communities and world.
Okay, so just play that out for me a little bit more, given that so much of this information is available through other channels. What would the end game be for, let's say, a foreign government seeking to put that kind of pressure on somebody who could presumably make a difference or a decision about to the benefit of the foreign country.
Perhaps identifying a relative, a family member, a colleague who is in financial issues or has other elements that can be leveraged against them to help them influence you in a particular fashion without your awareness.
So you're able to, somebody would be able to create a sort of family or personal network around an individual Twitter user and extract information about folks in that network?
That is one particular aspect that intelligence communities are
How would
known to do.
how would that take place through the, if somebody's gotten into the Twitter system, how do they find that out?
Well, it might be used in combination with other data collection sources. For instance, one of the concerns of U.S. People traveling to other countries is, was there information in the OPM database? And can that information be cross-indexed against the healthcare industry databases that have been lost? Do we know that this person has a particular political bias on Twitter, and start to tie all of these things together for people of influence or access within governments or within sensitive positions?
Thanks very much. My time is up.